Ladies and gentlemen, let's get real for a moment, because when it comes to creating unforgettable intimacy, it's not just about the big moves or the final destination. It's about the subtle touches, the emotional connection, and the unspoken tension that builds long before anything physical even begins. Tonight, we're diving into 5 irresistible foreplay ideas he'll never forget, not because they're wild or outrageous, but because they're real, intentional, and deeply personal. These are the moments that leave a mark, not just on his skin, but on his memory. Let's begin. Let's be honest, most people think of foreplay as something physical that begins the moment bodies touch, but that's where they get it wrong. Foreplay doesn't start when you get into bed. It starts long before that. In fact, the most unforgettable foreplay begins when you're not even in the same room. Why? Because foreplay is psychological before it's physical. Anticipation is what builds tension, deepens desire, and sets you apart from every other woman he's ever been with. It's what makes you feel like an experience, not just a moment. Think about it, Q. The most powerful turn on isn't a visual, it's a thought. It's that mental image you plant hours before he sees you. That teasing phrase that lingers in his mind during a meeting or on his drive home. When he can't concentrate because something you said is replaying over and over in his head, that's when foreplay truly begins. So how do you do this in a way that feels natural, playful, and completely irresistible? Start by dropping little hints, subtle suggestions that say, I'm thinking about you, and if you're lucky, you'll get to find out what's on my mind. You don't have to be graphic. In fact, don't be. The power is in what you don't say. For example, a midday text that says, I just remembered what you did last weekend, and now I'm distracted. Or, I picked out something for tonight. It's not a dress. You leave him guessing. You let his imagination fill in the blanks. And here's the key. He's not just looking forward to intimacy. He's looking forward to you, to the mystery you're creating, to the way you know how to play with his mind before anything else. What most people forget is that men love to chase. But it's not about playing hard to get. It's about being worth the wait. You want to create that delicious tension where he's excited, a little nervous, and completely focused on you. You're not trying to perform, you're inviting him into your world, and you're doing it on your terms. This kind of foreplay starts with presence. It starts with knowing your power, not from being loud or provocative, but from being intentional. Everything you say has a purpose. Every pause, every moment of silence, even your delay in responding, it all creates a rhythm. And rhythm is the heartbeat of desire, one of the simplest, most powerful tools. Voice notes. There's something deeply intimate about hearing your voice, especially when you slow it down just a little. When you lower your tone and speak softly, not because you're trying to seduce, but because you're connected to what you're feeling. You're not reciting a line. You're letting him hear the real you. Just a little more unfiltered, a little more curious, and a lot more in control. This is where you separate yourself from everyone else. Most people rush. Most people go straight to the action, but you're building the anticipation. You're not in a hurry because you know the longer you draw it out, the more powerful the connection becomes. It's also important to understand this. When you create anticipation, you create investment. He starts thinking about you throughout the day. He starts preparing mentally, emotionally, even physically for what's coming. He's no longer just reacting. He's engaged where you are. He's planning. And when a man is planning for you, you've already won. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need to send the right message. It's not about crafting a movie scene. It's about tuning into your own desire and letting it leak out in small, confident moments. It's about being honest with yourself. I want to tease him a little. I want to play. That's it. That truth alone will shape the way you move, speak, and show up. And remember, this is not a trick. It's not a manipulation. It's a gift. You're giving him the chance to feel wanted, to feel chosen, to feel seen, not just for his body, but for his presence, his attention, his energy. That's what makes this unforgettable. That makes you unforgettable. Anticipation isn't about withholding. It's about building. It's about crafting an emotional arc before the physical even begins. So when he finally walks through that door, he's not just hoping for a great night. He's stepping into an experience he's been craving all day. And that's just the beginning. Because once he learns that this is how you start, he'll never stop wondering what's coming next. There's something undeniably powerful about a woman who knows how to take control, not in an aggressive or domineering way, but in a way that says, I know what I want, and I'm not afraid to guide us there. And nowhere is that more electric than in foreplay. Most people think foreplay is about doing things to someone, but real foreplay, memorable foreplay, is about creating a shared experience. It's about the push and pull, the dance between tension and surrender. And sometimes one of the most irresistible things you can dog is take the lead. When you guide the moment, you break the pattern most men are used to. You see, he's probably been conditioned to think that he has to drive everything, that he's the one who's supposed to initiate, escalate, and decide the pace where you are. The moment you flip that dynamic, even for just a few minutes, you grab his full attention in a way that nothing else can. That's where the power of slowing things down comes in. Imagine this, you're not rushing, you're not tearing your clothes off. You're standing in front of him, making him wait. You look him in the eyes, not with a stare, but with a quiet confidence, and you begin to undress slowly, piece by piece intention. No rush, no performance, just presence. The way you slip off your jacket, the pause before you undo a single button, the moment you lean in to whisper something, but then pull away without saying it. These aren't actions, they're experiences. And they speak louder than anything you could scream. Because what you're really saying in those moments is, I am completely in control of my body and I'm choosing to share it with you on my terms. That kind of energy, it's magnetic, it's rare, and he will remember it. Now, this isn't about putting on a show. You're not performing for his benefit. This isn't for him. It's for you. It's about feeling powerful in your skin. It's about letting him see a side of you that's deliberate, playful, and completely unapologetic. You can even guide his hands. Show him where you want to be touched, not with words, unless you want to, but just by movement. Take his hands and place them where you want them. Not only does that heighten the connection, it eliminates the guesswork. Where you are, you're inviting him to meet you in your energy, not chase after it. This act of taking the lead doesn't make you less feminine. It amplifies your femininity. Because femininity isn't about passivity. It's about flow, emotion, sensation, and awareness. When you're in that space, feeling everything and allowing it to rise through you, you become irresistible. He's not just turned on by what he sees. He's captivated by what he feels from you. And if you've already created anticipation earlier in the day, through a text, a voice note, or a glance across the dinner table, then taking control now feels like the natural next step. You've been building the tension, and now you're releasing it drop by drop. The beautiful part is, the more comfortable you become in guiding the moment, the more he'll trust you in it. Men are deeply drawn to a woman who knows how to lead with grace, because it allows them to let go, to surrender, to fully immerse in the experience without needing to manage it. In fact, some of the most intimate, unforgettable moments come when both people feel safe enough to switch roles. When he can let go of control, and you can take the reins, even just for a few minutes. And don't forget to pause. Stillness is a superpower. Most people rush through intimacy like it's a checklist. But those moments where you stop, look into his eyes, breathe deeply, and just exist with him, that's where the magic lives. That's where you take a simple act and turn it into a memory. Because ultimately, foreplay is not about what you do. It's about how you do it. It's about creating contrast. Moments of intensity, followed by moments of softness. Moments where you're teasing, followed by moments of total surrender. That contrast creates an emotional roller coaster, one that he'll never want to get off of. So don't be afraid to lead. Don't be afraid to slow it down. Don't be afraid to take his face in your hands, kiss him once, and then pull away just long enough to leave him craving more. Because when you own the moment, you create something unforgettable. Not just for him, but for yourself. You remind both of you that this isn't about following a script. It's about writing your own, one moment at a time. And the more comfortable you become guiding those moments, the more powerful they become. When a man experiences that kind of confidence, when he feels your certainty, your presence, and your willingness to slow down and take control, it leaves an imprint, not just on his body, but on his mind. And that is something he will not forget. There's a reason why certain moments linger in our memory long after they're over. It's rarely because of what someone looked like. It's because of how they made us feel. And so often, that feeling isn't created through grand gestures or intense passion. It's in the smallest, most sensory details. That's where the real seduction lives. It's not about being wild or loud. It's about creating a total experience that touches more than just his body. It touches his senses, his nerves, his curiosity, his imagination. One of the simplest, unforgettable ways to do that, take something away. And in this case, it's his sight. Blindfold him, not for shock value, not as a gimmick, but because when you remove sight, every other sense immediately sharpens. Sound becomes more vivid, touch becomes electric. The breath on his neck, the weight of silence, the slight movement of your body on the bed. Suddenly every little detail becomes amplified. And with that amplification comes presence. He's no longer distracted by the world. He's not looking at his phone. He's not thinking about work. He's here with you, fully. That's the power of sensory foreplay. You're creating an experience that forces him into the moment, where he's not just watching. You've made him feel. You're inviting him to surrender to something outside of control. And in doing so, you're building incredible trust and arousal at the same time. And once he's blindfolded, slow everything down even more. Don't rush. Let your movements become the message. Let the space between your actions become the tension. You don't need to do much. Just be intentional. Maybe you run your fingertips lightly down his chest just once and then stop. Maybe you hover your lips near his ear, but don't kiss him yet. That edge, that space between action and inaction, is where desire lives, because it creates a craving. He doesn't know what's coming next. He can't predict you. That unpredictability is what ignites the senses. But here's where the real magic happens. Oh, speak to him. Not with long monologues or forced lines. Just a whisper, a breathy phrase. Something simple, something real. Do you trust me? Or you have no idea what I'm going to do to you. Or even softer, more intimate. I love seeing you like this. Your voice becomes another layer of foreplay. It becomes part of the experience, part of the rhythm. And if you're wondering, what if I feel awkward? Let me be clear, this isn't about acting. This isn't about trying to be someone else. This is about accessing your natural sensuality. Everyone has it. We just forget to slow down long enough to connect with it. And when you do, when you let yourself be in your own body, noticing your own breath, your own sensations, you stop thinking and you start feeling. That's when everything becomes more natural. That's when confidence shows up. You see, so much of Unforgettable foreplay is about awareness. Awareness of your environment, of his responses, of the way his breathing changes when you touch his shoulder instead of his neck, of the way he tenses just slightly when you whisper something unexpected. That level of attention isn't just sexy, it's deeply intimate. Because it tells him you're not just trying to arouse him, you're actually connected to him. You're present. That presence is rare, and it's addictive. Most people are half there. They're running through a checklist. But when you're fully in your senses, when you're tuned in to the taste, the smell, the sound, the heat between your bodies, you create something far deeper than just sexual chemistry. You create emotional depth. That's what sticks. The truth is, you don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to dominate to be unforgettable. Sometimes the most lasting impressions come from the quietest moments. The way you trace your fingers across his arm, the way you breathe beside his ear, the way your lips graze his skin without landing. You're not in a rush to deliver pleasure. You're teaching him to savor it. And in doing that, you become someone he wants to come back to again and again. Not because of a technique, not because of a move, but because of a feeling he can't quite replicate with anyone else. That feeling of being fully immersed, of losing track of time, of feeling completely safe and totally excited at the same time. That's the mark of true foreplay, when it's not about what happens next, it's about what's happening now. So don't underestimate the power of sensation. Don't rush to get to the main event. Sometimes the most erotic thing you can do is slow down, strip away his senses, and let him feel what he normally misses. Let him experience every second of your presence like it's the first time. Because that kind of experience, that's what lingers. Where you are, that's what he'll carry with him. That's what makes you unforgettable. If there's one thing that separates a good experience from an unforgettable one, it's this emotional connection. The truth is, you can create all the tension, anticipation, and sensory overload in the world, but if there's no emotional thread running through it, it won't leave a lasting imprint. Desire without connection fades, but when the physical is laced with feeling, it becomes a memory that stays with him long after the moment is over. And here's the secret that no one talks about. Foreplay doesn't end when the physical does. Some of the most powerful moments actually happen afterward. When the intensity settles, when the lights are low and the room is quiet, that's where emotional intimacy begins. That's where you take something playful and make it profound. Most people rush past this part. They get to the peak and then it's over. They roll over. They reach for their phone. They disappear into distraction. But if you pause, if you stay with him in that afterglow just for a little longer, you unlock something that most people never even touch. Real connection. Lie with him. Stay close. Let the silence breathe. Let the tension melt into comfort. And then when the moment feels right, You are asking him something that invites him to open up, not because you're trying to be deep, but because you're curious, because you actually want to know him. That curiosity is what turns chemistry into connection. You don't need to ask something intense. You can start with something soft. What was your favorite part of tonight? Or maybe something playful. Is there something you've always wanted to try? The goal isn't to interrogate, it's to invite him in, to show him that you're not just here for his body, you're here for his truth. And when he answers, really listen. Because when a man feels like he can express himself without being judged or shut down, that's when his guard drops. That's when he starts to feel safe. You are. And when a man feels emotionally safe with you, that's when he starts to bond. That's when you become more than a physical experience. You become someone who gets him. Someone he craves not just for touch, but for closeness. You can share too. Not to impress him, not to be vulnerable for the sake of it, but to deepen the moment. Maybe you tell him something you didn't expect to enjoy, or something that surprised you, or a thought you had in the middle of it all. These little glimpses into your inner world are what build trust. They say, I'm here not just with my body, but with my whole self. That kind of openness is rare and powerful, because while people might forget what you wore or what you did, they never forget how they felt around you. And when a man feels like he can be both aroused and emotionally seen in the same space, it changes the way he sees you. You're no longer someone who just turned him on. You're someone who awakens something deeper in him, something he maybe didn't even know he was looking for. This is where real intimacy is born, not just in the act, but in the aftermath, in the way you hold him, in the way you talk, in the way you stay just a little longer than expected. You're telling him, without needing to say it directly, this mattered to me, you matter to me. And again, it doesn't have to be heavy. It can be light, funny, even silly. Maybe you laugh about something that happened earlier, or maybe you tease him about how he reacted to something. That laughter, that shared joy, that's intimacy too. Emotional connection isn't always quiet and deep. Sometimes it's playful. It's spontaneous. Sometimes it's just knowing that you're fully accepted as you are without needing to perform. And don't underestimate what this does to you either. When you take time to connect emotionally after intimacy, you feel safer, you feel more grounded, you start to trust your own intuition more. And that trust, the one you have with yourself, makes you even more powerful in every other part of your relationship. It's not just about making him remember you. It's about anchoring yourself in your own presence, your own emotional clarity. Because the kind of woman who can go from teasing him with a glance at to guiding the moment with confidence to whispering against his skin to then lying next to him, curious about his mind, that's the kind of woman who's unforgettable. She's not just a lover, she's a connection, a moment, a story he'll carry with him long after the night ends. So don't skip the connection. Lean into it, even if just for 5 minutes, because in those 5 minutes, you have the power to do something that most people never even think about. You have the power to turn a physical act into an emotional imprint. And that's the kind of foreplay he'll never forget. Would you like a full conclusion to tie all 4 points together into one powerful closing?